Hello, and welcome back to the AL Central Rundown, Saturday edition this time. We are in the first week of May. Um, we really didn't have another series preview to talk about, so we're going to talk about basically two more guys to talk about later in the episode. But first, let's talk about the stats and standings and see where we're at. As usual, the Guardians are ahead of the division. As usual, the Tigers are one game back. Seems to be a theme in the last couple of weeks. What's different, though, and I'm pretty sure the White Sox have not been third this late in the season since probably 2022, 2023 or so. They're 15 and 17. Then the Twins are still really struggling. I think they've lost 17 of their last, or sorry, 13 of their last 17. And then the Royals are still last in the division, but looks like they're starting to warm up. They're 6 and 4 in their last 10. For hitting, Minnesota is still third in the AL for runs scored. Detroit is sixth. Chicago ninth. Kansas City 11th. And now the Guardians starting to slip down the offensive ranking, going down to 12th. Pitching, basically the exact opposite. The Guardians, number one, 3.81 ERA. The Detroit Tigers, sixth in the American League. The Minnesota Twins, the ninth, 12th for Chicago, and 14th for Kansas City. So, not some things have changed, but Sam, when are the Royals pitching? Is it just the bullpen? I feel like for how many 2-1 games that they've had, how is this ERA still one of the worst in the American League?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that there's kind of been a lot of guys who have not really put it all together in the early days of the season. I think Cole Reagans is chief among them. He's had a couple bad starts to start the year, got hit in the hand, then he had couple of good starts, and then last night against the Mariners, whatever. So I think he's been someone who's yet to put things all together. Noah Cameron hasn't been as good as he was last year. Chris Bubich hasn't been as good as he was last year. So I think that some of these starting pitchers, the calendar has turned over to May, and it's time to start figuring yourself out. And the bullpen, I'll say this, has come along a little bit. Lucas Urseg looked good in a couple of spots over the weekend or last night and during the week against the A's. Strom has looked good, and I think for the most part things are pointing in an upward trajectory. So we'll see how long that lasts. Some of the guys who were cold with the bat have started to look a little better. Salvi and Vinny. So I don't know, but like I said, the calendar has turned over to May, so it's time to start firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Lee, the Tigers have had kind of like a blah. I mean, we're going to talk about their injuries in a bit here, but they've kind of had a blah week, haven't they?
Yeah, because they went to Cincinnati and lost 2 out of 3, where they lost game 2. It was, I forget which one it was at this point. I think it was they lost game 1 after coming back and then getting walked off after our closer comes in and gives up a walk-off home run. And then we go to Atlanta and lose 2 out of 3 after game 2. Our closer comes in and gives up a walk-off home run. So it hasn't been great. Our pitching has been a goddamn mess. And then we lost the first game against the Rangers, and I'm not optimistic about the remaining 2 games against the Rangers because you look at their pitching and you look at who's pitching for us, and it's like, oh boy, because we have Keter Montero followed by a bullpen day, so that's not going to end well. It's not great right now, but we are very injured. 2 out of 3 of the parts of a team are working right now. The offense is working very well. It's gotten on its feet. The starting pitching for 3 out of 4 times has been amazing. The problem is the bullpen and the other 2 days in the rotation.
Amen. Copy and paste for Minnesota, and that's been the highlight. Granted, I think the outlook for each of those bullpens is probably a little bit different. I think at least Detroit's is competent, and certainly their offense will be better than Minnesota's. I think by the end of the year, but it's but yeah, it's kind of bleak in Minnesota, so I don't really have much else to say. But Lee, for some reason, you look more mature suddenly this week. Did like a major life event happen this week sometime?
Yeah,
Anything particularly special?
I officially graduated with my master's degree.
Hey, that's awesome. Very nice. Very nice.
You're more educated than me, Lee. Congratulations.
All of us, I think.
I was about to say, ain't none of us got a master's, I don't think. Like, I know I certainly don't. I have a history degree from South Dakota State, so you are leap years past me. So congratulations on that. That's awesome. You will not miss class.
I
You will miss
do
not
not miss
having.
it already.
Yeah, I bet not. Be able to sleep in until you get that big girl job.
You'll never have to study for a test ever again. Think about
so
that.
great. Oh,
Or do homework.
Or
Good
do
Or
point.
go to a
homework
lecture.
ever again.
no more homework.
So
Very-
anyway,
I love
congratulations. That's awesome. You've earned it, and also yeah, just congrats. That's all. All right. So the big news though is I think when we started out at the start of the season, we were really excited about the rookie class coming into the year. And for some reason, my computer is not wanting to pull this up. But between Murakami and McGonigal and Carter Jensen and I'm forgetting another person on there, but it doesn't matter because the Guardians have finally called up their number one prospect, basically a top 20 global prospect, to Travis Bazzana. And I know Dan really wants to talk about him because he looks really fun.
Well, let me back up just a second here because for as enthused as I've been about the Guardians' start to their season, talking about beating the Dodgers and the Cubs and leading the division and all this stuff, the Guardians haven't won a series since they hit Cole Reagans in the hand back on April 7th or whatever that was. April 6th or April 8th was the last time the Guardians won a series. They've split a couple four-game series, but they've lost series to Tampa and Toronto and all these teams along the way. They won last night against the Athletics, who I just
Didn't they
almost
win
called
the-
Oakland.
I thought they won the series against the Astros.
They did not. They lost 2 of 3 in that series,
Oh,
if I'm not
almost.
mistaken. So they're 17 and 16 leading the division, but a big part of that is the offense hasn't entirely it started to misfire. I've talked a lot about just be a middle of the road offense, and for the most part they've been able to do that, but especially in the last week or so. They lost 4 in a row in the last week where they didn't score. They averaged scoring 2 runs a game over that period of time. And so a decision was made this week, a decision that was a culmination of 2 years of anticipation after securing the first pick in the draft in 2024. The Guardians went ahead and they called up Travis Bazzana, former first overall pick, number one prospect in the organization, 20th, 22nd, something to that effect in terms of depending on what prospect reporting you prefer, which lists you like. He had been hitting very well at AAA. You're seeing some of that on your screen perhaps right now. 933 OPS at AAA so far this year. I know it's a small sample, but he had 11 doubles in 24 games. And so, hey, a guy that maybe could help jumpstart this offense, I think, was a big part of kind of the decision making here. Additionally, Juan Brito was sent down in the corresponding move, and I feel like it was only a short period of time, but Juan Brito was not a major league second baseman, and so they needed to find one for this roster. That isn't to say that Brito can't be a MLB player at some point, but it wasn't going to be as an everyday second baseman.
Is that about as happy of a roster move as you could have possibly had this year because you were not a fan? I don't know how strongly your opinions have been on the show about Brito, but I know in our Discord chat you have not been a fan.
I haven't talked about Brito much on the show, but he has not really ingratiated himself to me for what it's worth over the course of the little bit of time he was in the majors. Just some very costly errors in the field. He had 4 errors in the short time frame that he was in the majors. That's more than any other second baseman in the sport this year.
He was here for like 2 weeks.
And I know errors aren't the end all be all anymore, but that's literally a measurement of like the ball is hit to you. Did you catch it? Did you make the play? And he didn't make the play more than anybody else in that short period of time. But this isn't about Juan Brito. This is about Travis Bazzana. And, you know, beyond kind of the hopes that he would help jumpstart the offense, I just want to talk about him on more of a macro level as well. The Guardians drafted him first overall in part because they fell in love with his intangibles. They think he's a great, talented player on the field, of course. You can see on the screen, if you're watching on YouTube, some of his ratings, grades as a player. Very well thought of, but also super hard worker, cerebral player. This is a guy who, when he was signed, he asked to meet with the team's R&D department to learn more about the metrics, the internal metrics the Guardians use and how they work, and just to kind of get himself more in tune with the analytics that the organization uses internally. You don't normally get that out of a guy, even at 22 years old, who you just drafted in the first round. He went out of his way to kind of learn that stuff. He's a baseball maniac, from what I understand. He's an obsessive. He lives and breathes the game. And so to me, that screams guy that's perfect to play with Jose Ramirez, for one. I think those two, despite being from very different cultures and backgrounds, could really be an interesting kind of combination on and off the field, quite frankly. This is a guy who asked for scouting reports about his teammates when he was in the minors to learn more about their games and how to help them improve. So I wanted to voice that, you know, makeup doesn't seem like it's going to be an issue. It's not going to be a matter of want to or effort in terms of if Travis Bazzana ends up playing in the majors for 15 years or not. Also, he's Australian for that. I kind of skimmed over that. You know, born there, raised there, came over, played college at Oregon State. And so I say it in jest, but clearly the Guardians are trying to corner the market on Australia the way the Dodgers did with Ohtani in Japan, right? Like that's what we're going for here. But it's just an interesting, if Bazzana can really make something of himself in the majors, I kind of wonder if that starts something in Australia. Maybe not, but it's part of the calculus here as well. Not in terms of him as a player, but just as a kind of a backstory.
Well, not for nothing. The year they drafted, he was first overall pick, but that was like the second year of the lottery, and Cleveland jumped up. I can't remember how many spots.
I believe they were 10th. I believe they were 10th best odds or something to that. It was something to that effect. So, and this is an organization. This is an organization that's literally never had the first pick in the draft before, ever, in their existence.
Really?
So, yeah, never had the first. So, our first crack at it after all these years. And as far as on the field goes with Bazzana, obviously it's been 3 games. He was called up the second game of this Tampa series that was just this week. So yeah, he's played 3 games so far, and admittedly, he hasn't gotten his first hit yet, which I'm not too concerned about to this point. He's hit a couple balls hard. He hit a ball to the warning track on Thursday, I think it was, game 3 of that series, that if it was not 40 degrees outside would have been in the 3rd row. Like, just bad timing for that ball. This might be it right here. I don't recall, actually.
Oh, that was not it.
This is his
no,
first
it's definitely not it. That was his first at bat. But anyway, so he's done that. He did walk twice, scored twice last night. He's put up good at bats. He just hasn't kind of found some green grass yet. And, you know, the other thing I'll admit is he did also make an error at second earlier this week on Wednesday. And it led to a run. But is what it is. That kind of stuff's going to happen. I'm still enthused and interested to see kind of what occurs from him in the coming weeks and months and hopefully years. One other thing I want to mention before I kind of cede the floor here is Tuesday night, his first night in the majors, his first game, the Guardians lost 1-0 that night. And it was 1-0 in the 9th, 2 outs. Angel Martinez comes up, smokes a double, gets to second base. and up comes Travis Bazzana in the ninth inning of his first game with a tying run on second base with 2 outs. Um, Admittedly, I forget who was pitching for Tampa, but gets down on him 2-0 in the count, and you're like, oh, hitters count, here we go. It's going to happen. And then Kevin Cash gives the signal, and they intentionally walk Travis Bazzana, and Kevin Cash robs us of potential history. So thanks, Kevin Cash. Really appreciate that. Ultimately, he was doing what he needed to do for his team, as that ended up working out, and Tampa ended up winning that game. But just who knows what might have happened if that at bat goes a little bit differently.
Because he's batting what, 7th or 8th in the lineup?
He's been hitting 7th. Yeah.
I guess I can see the logic in it, but that's that's horse crap. I don't know.
Now, what I want to
Yeah.
know, with Bazzana is it his decision to have his walk-up song be "Down Under" by Men at Work? Or was that a thing where the team said, you need to pick a song that has something to do with Australia?
So they talked about this on the broadcast. Shout out to Andre Knott, our wonderful dugout reporter, who is awesome in my opinion. But the story is he picked that song like for his parents, I guess, and not in like a silly way, but like he felt bad whenever they would. Again, he's Australian. His family came over for his debut, and apparently they're staying with him until he gets his first hit because they made the trip to Sacramento as well. They're there right now. But the story is he picked that song because when he was in the minors, he would have like a rap song as his walk-up song, and his parents would be like, "We don't understand what this is. What is it?" So he wanted to pick something a little bit more familiar, I guess, for his family for his first at-bats in the majors.
Because the Royals used to have Peter Moylan, and he would come in with AC/DC music. And I was always wondering, like, is that a him decision, or is that the team saying you have to pick something that has to do with Australia?
And not for nothing too. You do see a lot of Latino and Hispanic players play like that style of music too. But yeah, it is funny. The one it's 100% rating for the Australian players because Liam Hendricks is not in the MLB. Well, maybe I shouldn't say 100%. There's probably a couple Australian players that I just don't know about. But
So was he
I'm going to
drafted?
guess that every single person who's from Australia knows that song.
Some of the Kangaroos too.
Yeah.
I was about to say there has to be how many dingo babies or anything about kangaroos. How many jokes have been happening in Ohio in the last week? I'm sure it's a bit outstanding.
Not as many as maybe I'm just not paying attention to the right places on social media, but not as many as you would think, at least from my perspective.
So, I'm sorry if I missed this too, but Dan, did you give like a little scouting report? I know you went into the intangibles and things about like the stuff that you expect him to do well, like why this dude was worth a 1-1 pick, where all of that stuff.
Pure hitter, contact, and with the ability to potentially develop some power. I don't think he's ever going to hit 30 home runs, but he may hit 20. Big potential to hit 300 at some point. Runs very well. Smart base runner as well as speedy. He's probably going to stay at second base. He doesn't have the glove for short, and probably doesn't have the arm for third, quite frankly. But if it's hit to him, he'll catch it. He'll throw it accurately to first. So I think he's going to stay at second. There was some kind of talk at one point about maybe he ends up in the outfield, back when the team was kind of hoping and wishing and searching for outfielders that could hit the ball. That seems to be clearing itself up a little bit at this point in time. But I think his long-term home is likely at second. And potentially a leadoff hitter someday. I think he is probably somewhere in the top of the order type hitter. Like I said, I don't think he's necessarily a cleanup guy that's going to hit 30 home runs. But yeah, I think contact first with the ability to develop power with some maturity.
I mean, not for nothing too. 2025, he was on 3 teams in the minors. I mean, his batting averages haven't been that great, but 238 and
He was
high
he was
A.
banged up last year too. So I think that's part of it. Quite frankly, I think I was surprised they called him up so early. I
Right.
didn't expect to see him in April. I expected to see him maybe in July or later. I thought they wanted him to get more seasoning at AAA because he missed a lot of time last year with injuries. I think he was on the injury list twice, on two for different occasions, and just needed some reps. And apparently, they feel like he got those reps. He was killing it at AAA. So, like I said, 11 doubles in 24 games. That to me kind of rings to the type of success he could have. I think he's going to hit a lot of doubles at the potentially at the top of the order.
No, and not for nothing. The point I wasn't trying to like just crap on his batting average because like he's 287, like it can click all that. His on base percentage is 391 for his career in the minors, which that's is he going to have a 391 on base in the majors? No, but like he can have a
What
350 and that's still elite.
And I think that's maybe one thing I kind of downplayed in asking about his scouting report is fantastic eye at the plate. That's something that the Guardians seem to really search for. And the one thing I think offensively the team is collectively struggling with right now is the distinction between being selective and being passive. And I think that's on an individual basis. So that's the one thing I think we got to watch for with Travis um, is he going to be aggressive enough in the right counts. If he has a downfall as a major league player offensively, I think it's that we need to see if he's going to, really give those A swings on 2-0 on the right pitches and that kind of stuff.
I was kind of, I mean, like I said, I was surprised that they called him up so early, even despite how well he's doing in AAA right now. Is there concern that this is like I mean, it's kind of early, but like a desperation move from the front office? Be like, we need some offense. Quick, bring up the prospect, see if he can do anything. Like, is he going to come up, not hit 200 for 2 weeks, and then just be sent down? Type of.
First, I think if Gabriel Arias hadn't ripped his hamstring from the bone or whatever it is he did, I don't think Travis Bazzana is on this
Holy
roster
cow,
right now.
that's what happened? That sounds
I mean,
horrible.
he out 48 weeks with a hamstring injury, so it's not the severity is probably to that effect, I would guess. But anyway, I think if kind of this wasn't the scheduled plan, obviously, in my opinion, but Rito obviously two things happened. Arias got hurt. Rito didn't look like a major league second baseman, and so here we are. And I don't think that's a matter of desperation. While I think fans are like, oh, a savior to help this offense that has started to struggle, I don't think that's how the organization is viewing this whatsoever. How fans look at things and how organizations look at things are entirely different a lot of the time.
And if
So
Juan Brito had just been like average,
then
Bazzana
I
would still
think
be in play.
I think if Brito was hitting 250 and had made one error as opposed to four, Brito would be in the majors and Bazzana would still be getting some seasoning at AAA. That's my
Gotcha.
opinion. Um, and I don't think this is also though that he needs to rescue the team. He's hitting seventh. Like he's expected to contribute. He's expected to be part of the solution here, but nobody's expecting him to come up and hit 350 and lead an offense and do all that stuff. That's just not kind of how this organization operates, in my opinion.
Well,
So, no, I'm not concerned. I think, yes, this is faster than planned, but we landed in this from a logical place. Other things caused us to get here that makes sense.
well, and
That
like
makes
not
sense.
for nothing.
I always get concerned when organizations like a month into the season bring up their top prospect that they started in AAA for a reason. I'm like, are you really bringing him up because for a reason, or are you bringing him up to get tickets and try and get last minute like I like what the Pirates did with Connor Griffin? I'm like, did he really need to be brought up? So I always get like a little antsy about it when it's like a month into the season. It's like,
Alternatively, I think if Bazzana was OPSing 633 as opposed to 933, maybe we're not here. Maybe they find somebody else to stem the tide. Somebody, maybe like a vet. I forget his name now, but there's like a veteran infield. Every team has them, like a veteran infielder they added for depth that has played in the majors before. I'm blanking on his name now. I apologize, but something of that effect would have been the move instead.
Well, not for
Gotcha.
nothing too. I don't. It's okay I don't like desperation is too strong of a word for Cleveland, but like it's okay to show some urgency. Like you do have a
Yeah.
highly touted prospect. Like I don't think it's all that dissimilar from McGonigal, and like I know McGonigal is another tier level above Bazzana. Like I really I guess they'll be compared in this division because they debuted in the same year and like 3 weeks apart. But
And they play
Dan,
similar
you opened the
positions.
show. I'm sorry, what was that, Lee?
They play similar positions too.
Yeah, and like and truth be told, similar play styles. It's just McGonigal seems to have the better raw tools over Bazzana, but that doesn't mean like Bazzana could still be an all-star caliber. Like that, they're just two excellent prospects. McGonigal's played the 3 weeks, so like we think highly of him because he's shown it for 3 weeks.
But then maybe 3 weeks from now, Travis Bazzana will have a 300 batting average.
Exactly. So I mean,
And alternatively, I want to say, for any fans of the Guardians listening, if Bazzana hits 190 in his first month and ends up getting sent down, it's okay. Go look at Jose Ramirez's first year in the majors. Like, take a good look at that. Like, I think way too often we get too amped up about that first impression when it's not necessarily the whole story. It'll be all right, guys. Like I said, he's going to have every opportunity and make every effort to be a good ball player. I'm sure of that.
And if he can just hold his own, like that's what, like let's just go. He does like the median average, and he's just a 100 OPS guy the rest of the year. That's okay too. If anything, that's more encouraging in his first taste in the majors.
I entirely agree. Like I said, they don't need a savior. If he can contribute, 100 OPS, make every ball, catch every ball that's hit to you.
Yeah, but the other side is he might have the ability to be a savior. There's now like a ceiling that's kind of been unlocked by having him on the roster. Like
well, when you culminate him, the Lauder, hopefully some of the contributions you're starting to see out of these younger players who maybe in their second or third year, the Angel Martinez's and Daniel Schneeman's of the world, there's potentially the opportunity for like a group of talent that you can be even more than a middle of the road offense in the future. Maybe middle of the road is your goal for 26, but 27, 28, you're building towards something.
Glad you brought up the rest of the prospects too, because I did see like Cooper Engel he's kind of blocked right now, isn't he? He's a catcher in AAA. I don't actually.
His name may come up later when we talk about some players that we want to talk about.
Yeah, it better.
For all intents and purposes, this gets into how much you value catcher skills behind the plate and that sort of thing. But I'd be interested to see if maybe the Guardians could get something in return for a trade for Cooper Engel, quite frankly.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just call up the White Sox. They love catchers.
That's true.
The one I would look at on that list, Eric, is Ralphie Velasquez, who is a big dude who hits the cover off the ball and plays a decent first base. Like, that's a guy that potential cleanup hitter. I said Bazzana's not a guy who hit more than 20 home runs. That guy could hit 40 someday if things all go correctly.
Yeah, I was just looking at guys in AAA too, like because I was like, who's the imminent reinforcements if they need Engel?
To be fair, that wouldn't be him. I get what you're going for.
But it is. I mean, they have they have their top two prospects in the majors right now. They're 23, 24, and they have offensive upside. It's a good play. So, yeah. Any other thoughts on Bazzana?
I think I said what I wanted to say. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, so now we need to go to. I don't think Lee wants to talk about it, but let's look at a list of who is on the Tigers' injury list. And Lee, go ahead. This is just a snapshot of the list they have to use.
Oh, okay.
That's
the joke.
That is the joke.
All right. It's a long list, so bear with me. Javier Baez, right ankle sprain. Bo Brisky, abductor strain. Bailey Horn, Jackson Jobe, Zach McKinstry, Parker Meadows, Troy Melton, Casey Mize, Reese Olson, Connor Siebold, Trey Sweeney, Justin Verlander. That is the Major League medical update. There's even more on the minor league report, but I'm not going to get into that because right now on the major league there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 players from the major league roster are on the injured list.
Do the Tigers have a good training staff?
I'm putting that to the test.
The last time we've seen like a barrage of injuries was like this was 2022 when we lost like all of our pitchers in a year. This is not like a every year thing. This is truly abnormal. I mean, last year we were out like four outfielders, but it's never been like we always have. We're not like the Braves where we're like there's always going to be like 7 injuries at any given time. I mean, I admittedly do not know who the Tigers trainers are. But, like, I've never been like, I'm really concerned about the training staff and how, you know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense.
And not for nothing, looking at these injuries, too. I mean, I don't know how good or bad they are either, but it's Baez's ankle sprain. It's a sprain, surgery, Tommy John. So, like, when you're looking at a bad training staff, to me, I look like, what are the soft tissue injuries? Where are the hamstrings? Where are the core? Where's the muscle strains? I mean, it looks like a bunch of shoulders for pitchers, which I don't know if that's always flammable anyway, but I don't know.
Like, do you want to know? Okay, here's why I'm not concerned. Do you want to know how some of these players got their injuries? Javi Baez was running to first on beating a ground ball. The ball goes high, and so he like half slides, half like tries to duck under it, and his ankle gets caught under him and like folds and like could not put any weight on it. Zach McKinstry with right hip inflammation. He during a game against the Royals, he got really banged up because he collided with Jack Caglione a couple times and he slid hard into home, and so he just got really banged up in that game. Connor Siebold tripped coming down the mound during a pitch. Like during the game, he was delivering a pitch and like his cleat slipped because that was like after it had rained, and he fell. And Parker Meadows, of course, collision in the outfield. So these are like things happening on the field that is causing injuries. It's not like they were going on batting practice, and it's events happening that are causing injuries. It's not just like you know what I mean.
Yeah,
I don't know if that makes sense.
That Javi Baez injury reminded me of how like when you're a kid growing up playing sports and your coach tells you that the moment you like let up, the moment you stop going hard, like that's when you get injured. That's what the Javi Baez injury reminded me of, because like anytime you're indecisive or anytime like you're trying to do like in between two things, that's when you get hurt. So that's
I think
I would agree with that it's a lot of weird freak things that have happened.
It was like he ran into the base and his foot like caught the edge of the base and like he like tripped over it, and like the rest of his like he went forward but his foot didn't, and then so like he like fell on top of his ankle in a weird way. So no idea how long he's going to be out. This just happened a few days ago. It's a right ankle sprain, which is thank God, because the internet was saying everything from an ACL tear to his Achilles to all that kind of stuff. But the Tigers did recently trade for old friend Zach Short. He's not on the 40-man. So potentially if Javi has to go in the 60-day IL, now we get to have Zach Short on the roster again, like it's 2021. So that'll be great. But yeah, we have way too many injuries right now. If you look at the pitchers on this injured list, they would be a top half rotation. Casey Mize, Jackson Jobe, Reese Olson, Troy Melton, Verlander. Those are 5 starting pitchers. We have 5 starting pitchers on the injured list right now. That is insane.
But at least you have Melton like starting a rehab assignment. Also, can I talk about like I'm a little jealous that Detroit actually sends this and makes it public to fans, because the Twins certainly don't do anything like this, and you kind of have to do a little guesstimate. But I mean, even it's not like these are major updates. Just as Javi Baez completing rehab daily. Okay, fine. So there's no really update on him. He's just rehabbing. But like to know that they're going on rehab assignment on 5-3. This is fantastic. A+ to Detroit for doing this.
I didn't realize that other teams didn't. I thought it was like standard because we get these like twice a week.
Twice a week.
Yeah, we get updates like pretty much like every series, kind of like a,
You
like
got to be on like a mailing list or something.
I know the beat reporters. I think they get an email and then they post a screenshot of like what they get in their email or whatever. Because sometimes you'll see in the screenshot there's like text highlighted by like someone had like on their phone or whatever.
Oh,
But
This is a sponsored segment that the Royals have. They have the University of Kansas hospital injury report.
oh, that's nice.
I'll say like the beat reporters do ask the Twins, but the Twins really don't make it public. Like they do make it public, but you have to follow the beat reporters. Like you can watch the broadcast and it'll give you an update one or two thing, but there's nothing like this is what's going on with everyone. So you kind of have to like do some digging outside. So maybe it's just the
And we
Twins
also
who
get-
really suck at that, but
We also get like minor league medical updates too, like once a week. So because we are very injured down there too, because we got Tyler, Owens is on the injured list, and it's just we are missing 5 starting pitchers. Like that's now we're gonna get 4 out of 5 of those back, hopefully, but our pitching depth is being very strained right now. Because currently in our rotation, we have Scooble, Framber, and Flaherty, who's like an automatic loss at this point. Then we have Keter Montero, who's fine. And then we had bullpen day in
Drew Anderson.
Drew Anderson.
It's going to
Look,
happen.
I don't know why the Tigers made these decisions. But when both Mize and Javi left in the same game, because Mize is out, hopefully he's not out for long, because it's a right adductor strain. They brought up Jace Young and Emmanuel De Jesus to replace those 2 players. And now Jace Young is a third baseman. He plays a little bit of first. Emmanuel De Jesus is not a starting pitcher. He was barely qualified as a major league pitcher, period. He's not good. He has a 10 ERA. I don't know why we called him up when we have guys like Sawyer Gibson-Long or Ty Madden or even a couple of guys who aren't on the major league roster but have been doing really well in Toledo. I don't know. We have one shortstop on the 40-man who is not injured because Trey Sweeney, Javi Baez, Zach McKinstry, and Trey Cruz in the minor league, they're all injured. I don't know why we didn't bring up a guy who can play shortstop. Apparently, our backup shortstop is Hao-Yu Lee. I don't know. Yeah,
That's interesting. Like, why isn't McGonigal? I wonder. Like, isn't that? I don't want to say.
McGonigal is the shortstop.
Oh, okay. That's what I was about to say. Shouldn't he be? Wasn't he like in the conversation of this too?
But he is the shortstop. I hope he doesn't need a day off because we have no one else that can play shortstop on this roster.
Be a real shame if something happened to McGonigal.
Say that injury monkey is coming right for McGonigal next.
That's a nice shortstop you got there. Real shame if something would happen to it.
Get away.
Is that Sam I seen with a baseball bat in the coming for some kneecaps? When does Detroit play Kansas City? Because
next series, isn't it?
Oh, you don't say. Well, it was Chipotle that got Bybee last year, and now it's Detroit's turn.
I don't know. So I'm hoping that they think McKinstry is going to be back soon because he's doing his rehab right now. So I guess the idea is don't add someone to the 40-man just to send him down in a week and a half. So hopeful that's that. But I don't know what we're going to do about the pitching right now. I don't think this bullpen is not good enough to the fact where we can have a bullpen day every 5 days and also be able to support Jack Flaherty, who can only go 3 innings. So we basically would have 2 bullpen days in a 5-game period. So I don't know what we're doing. I don't like this.
Yeah, Flaherty. Boy, he looks awful right now.
He looks awful.
I don't know what there is to save him. I haven't really looked at his page either. I know I watched Detroit's game was about an hour before the Twins game, so I was watching that, and it was not even the 3rd inning, and they were already down 4-0. So
yeah, they came back to tie it, but then lost in the 8th inning because, again, when you had to take your starting pitcher out after 3.1 innings, you're putting yourself in a hole. You know,
Yeah.
like I'm not going to blame the offense for that. I'm going to blame the fact that Jack Flaherty can't go 5 innings. So he said in his post game, he's like, I'm really frustrated because he was like getting a little bit like pissed off, and you could tell in his voice. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm just really frustrated. I've never had something like this happen in my career before, because we'll hear just like totally lose control for like 20 pitches or whatever, and then he can't get it back, and it's just he doesn't know what the issue is. The staff are working on it, and he's like, I'm literally losing sleep because I just cannot get out there and perform. So I don't think it's a lack of effort from him. I think he just, there is something going on that they can't figure out.
So you're saying there's going to be a 13th injured list?
I know. We don't have any more pitchers.
I was about to say, like, let's rephrase this. Is there going to be an Estevez style rehab assignment in the next as soon as they get a pitcher back for Flaherty? Because I suspect that might be the case.
Maybe, I don't know. But like Seabold isn't going to be out for long because it's literally just he sprained his ankle while coming down off the mound. Verlander, I don't know what the deal is with Verlander because he keeps he's kind of like hit a plateau where like he got a little bit better, and then every time he throws a bullpen, they're trying to get a bullpen out of him where he's like not in pain or feeling anything, and he's like they just haven't been able to get past that point. Part of me is like, you're 43, man. You're just you're gonna have pain, but I don't know more than the medical staff.
I think ultimately that's the real answer. As I think you just nailed it. Is he's an old man, and sometimes things that hurt take a lot longer to not hurt.
Yeah. So it's just they're just taking it really slow with him. I mean, I don't know how long it'll be. I don't want to rush him, but Troy Melton is already doing rehab, and I didn't think we were going to get him back pitching in games until like June. So obviously he's making a better recovery than we thought. We're still not.
Do you have a sense? Do you have a sense if? Oh my goodness! You just said his name. Oh,
Verlander, Flaherty.
No, the last
Melton.
Do you have a sense? Is he going to be in the bullpen, or is he going to be a starter?
I hope to God he's going to be in the bullpen because I want him. I do not care which position he plays. I want him at the major league level. I do not want him in Toledo. I think by the time he gets back, there will still be 5 starting pitchers ahead of him. But I don't think they're going to stretch. They're not going to stretch him out to be more than like 4 innings. So they're probably just going to put him in the bullpen anyway. I mean, unless he comes back in like end of May or June or something, and then they can stretch him out to be a starter in July. But I think
that's ultimately what I'm asking is if this is a 2-week rehab assignment, he's going in the bullpen. If this is a full month rehab assignment, he's going to be a starter.
I have no idea how long this rehab assignment is going to be. They haven't really, because it was just, it's a, elbow inflammation. Like they're not going to mess around with that. They're being really careful about it. And he's still a rookie. He's still in his last season, he started off at AA and then ended the season in the bullpen at the major league level. He, in the minors, he never went more than 6 innings. So he already isn't quite used to like a full, like a long inning stretch type of guy. Yeah. So I don't think they would push him to be able to do more than 5 or 6 innings. But I don't care. I just want him. I just want him in Detroit. I don't want him in Toledo.
I suspect he will not have another game in his career where he will pitch 5 or 6 innings. I think he's destined for a bullpen. But that's just me. But I do. I mean, because he looked really good, or at least you saw this stuff in the bullpen last year in the playoffs and late in the season. Once you get used to a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, a manager really likes having a 100-mile-an-hour fastball he can pull out of his back pocket. So,
I don't know. They had said he was going to be a starter, like at the end of last season, going into the. I mean, I don't know. He's still young. We can still. I think we're going to need starting pitchers next year and later this year. So, but not the point. Yeah,
we'll see.
I don't know how long this is.
I think I'm like 0 for 10 on predicting what the Tigers are going to do with their roster. So like maybe don't ever listen to me, but that's just me. Anyway, I think I think we've talked about Detroit enough. Kansas City, what's going on there?
Well, the Jonathan India trade has finally
Oh, that's right.
produced its results fully and completely. India had a season-ending surgery earlier this week on a torn labrum, and we've talked enough about Jonathan India on this program. He got off to an okay little start this year, but his career as a Royal is, I'm going to say, 99.9% chance his career as a Royal has come to an end. And I think this will truly go down as probably one of the worst trades that the Royals have ever made. A guy who you gave up a quality starting pitcher for, did not produce at all, wanted a guy who could hit at the top of the order and be productive, couldn't produce results in 2025, and then immediately got injured and set down for the season in 2026. So, Johnny, hope you get a shot in 2027, which I do think he will get a shot in 2027. Simply due to the fact that he's got the pedigree of a Rookie of the Year winner, and if he had just been completely awful this season, maybe he wouldn't have. But there's a difference between just being awful and getting injured. So I think some team will take a flyer on him next year, and we'll see. So.
I was gonna ask, do you think he's gonna be playing in Colorado or the Marlins, or do you think he's gonna be playing in Japan?
That's the real.
I would say he's gonna get picked up by a team who just needs a guy next year. A team that needs a veteran presence to fill out the roster. Will probably be he'll be in Colorado or in the south side or wherever.
If he'd be okay just being a utility guy, like a backup for a good team, because I could see like that scenario. I think if he wants playing time, I think you're right. He's going to have to go to Colorado or Los Angeles.
I could see
and
him,
he strikes me as a guy who wants to play.
like a Lane Thomas style contract is what I would think. Like,
yeah.
Maybe slightly less because Lane, I think, had a little bit more success leading up to injury. But like similar, 1 year, $4 million. You're going to play 60% of the time, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So that'll probably be what we see from Jonathan India next season. And disappointment, of course, that this has worked out in the way that it has. But baseball is a game of chance. You roll the dice on these guys, and sometimes they perform, and sometimes they don't. So Jonathan India is likely played his last game in a Royals uniform.
Anyway, Brady Singer has a 5 ERA this year.
I looked up Brady Singer's stats. I was just about to go into that. Brady Singer had an okay year last year. Not nothing to write home about. This year he's posted a 5.57 ERA in 7 starts with the Reds. So he has not lit the world on fire, certainly. But hey, he posted 3.1 wins above replacement last year. Brady Singer did. So, and look, the Royals' pitching depth is that's fine. But we'll see what happens with Mr. Brady Singer as his career continues. Only other thing I wanted to mention was kind of a move that really surprised me when I saw it. The Royals called back up Luinder Avila from the minor leagues. That's not the part that surprises me because he is a top prospect. The Royals are high on him. I think we're gonna see him in the bullpen. They sent Eli Morgan back down to AAA Omaha. He was one of the few bright spots for the Royals bullpen so far in 2026. Morgan had a 2.61 ERA in 10 and a third innings pitched. I don't know why that's the guy you send down when certainly there are other guys you could send down to the minor leagues, because his level of production was pretty good. So who knows? But yeah, those are the two pieces of Royals news.
I mean, if I was to guess, it's just
this is a
Avila
world
has
where Alex
10.
Lang is still on the Royals bullpen, and
Yeah. I mean,
and not doing well.
no. And it's also like Alex Lang signed a $1 million contract. So like you can cut ties with him. That's only $1 million of dead money, you know? Like I don't understand it. I don't understand what's going on.
I know we talked about this last week, but like the walk rate in the bullpen for Kansas City is just atrocious. 6.8 for Urseg, Lang 6.6. There's a 5.4, a 5.4, a 4.6, a 5.2, 7.2 for 7.2 for Steven Cruz, but he doesn't matter anymore. But
it's not like their FIPs are any better. It's not like they're getting unlucky or like BABIP. It's like no, they are that bad.
Woof. Well, that's bleak. Sorry, Sam.
Right. You're not telling me anything I don't know, Eric.
Well, I commiserate.
This is not breaking news on the AL Central Rundown podcast.
And then I'm also looking.
The Royals bullpen sucks. War at 11.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, those are my two pieces of Royals news.
Well, shoot. That's terrible. I really don't have anything for the Twins. They just except for Cole Sands, literally just like an hour before we hit record, went on the IL. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but what is interesting, they called up a guy named John Klein, who is he's on like the top 30 list on MLB Pipeline. He's going to be in the bullpen. What's interesting about him is he was a high he had some steam last year where he was really a no prospect, and then he just ended up making the results kind of change people's minds. He's still not like, I think he's like a 25 to 30 range prospect on the Twins board, but he is one of those projects that he might play well up in the bullpen. And I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but the Twins desperately need like high caliber arms in this bullpen because it ain't doing it. So we'll see what John Klein has. But what's also discouraging, his AAA numbers have not looked particularly good. I think he's given up like 7 home runs in 6 starts. Now, he's not going to start in the bullpen, or he's not going to start for the Twins, but 7 home runs, even AAA, we've talked about before, is a very high offense environment, but that's a lot of balls going over the fence in a short time, like 21 innings. So that obviously won't fly, but maybe he clicks and sticks around for a while, or at least that's the hope. Or at least even if he doesn't click, honestly, with the way this bullpen is going for the Twins, just give me a 24-year-old arm who can throw over 95, and we'll see if we can turn him into something at the end of the year, because I can tell you Justin Topa ain't doing it for me anymore. Let's move on and see what we can find for next year. So that's really it. I think that's kind of it for the news. Why don't we just talk about the 2 guys we want to talk about? So we did this a couple weeks ago, where we just picked 2 guys that we just wanted to talk about. We liked doing that. Hopefully you guys like listening or watching that. So we're just going to do it again. Sam stepped away from his computer, so I think I'm going to go first. And this is a nice little segue that I can go into and talk about Andrew Morris, who, talking about Twins prospects that aren't necessarily highly ranked, I'm just going to show his MLB pipeline just to kind of give you an idea of what he was like graded out for in the minors. So he throws 5 pitches, They grade pretty well. He did have a fastball that's hit 95, 96. The issue with him though is that fastball fades pretty fast. Or he really works around, 93, 94. But when he really needs it, he can hit 97. And that's what would end up happening. 97, 98 or so in his start. He would have good stuff. He has decent control. He just looked like a back of the end rotation guy, which there's a lot of value there. It also didn't seem like he would be a guy that if you put him in the bullpen, it just maybe he threw okay stuff, not necessarily great stuff, but he's come to the majors and he's been in a long relief role. And depending on what inning you have looked at when Andrew Morris pitches, you've either been really impressed or wondering why he's on the major league roster. So I just wanted to point out just a couple of things. The first time he goes through an order, these are his actual numbers. This is a slash line. 297, which is yikes. 325 and 551. A total OPS of 676, that's good. I will also say his BABIP is 393. That's about 60 points higher than league average. So there's some bad luck. There is some hard hit balls in there, but you could almost you could make the case that the BABIP won't hit 393. If not, he will be unplayable. The second time through the order, 545, 545, 800. That is an OPS of 1345. That ain't great. So that's typically, now, as a reliever, how many times are you going to see the lineup? A second time. You're not. Pitches 1 through 25. His slash line, 162, 192, 200. A 392 OPS with a 235 BABIP. So on the other side, you can expect the BABIP to go up. But still, an OPS of 392 the first time for your first 25 pitches, that plays really well in a bullpen, it turns out. So from pitches 26 to 50, 525, 550, 765, again, 13 OPS. With a BABIP of 533, which I would like to tell you that would regress, but he's getting his brains bashed in from pitch 26 to 50. So I don't think that would come down a whole lot when your slugging percentage is over 750. So I guess what I would do with Andrew Morris, stick him to one inning because he can throw it. He can get up to 97, 98. His other pitches are playing pretty well, and he throws 5 of them. So even if one isn't working, you might be able to, you can futz around with it. You can kind of get through the inning. And like I said before, it's not like I expect him to close out games next week, but honestly, he probably could because he just is easily the best arm in this bullpen, and he's only been in 5 games. But so someone with a 6.35 ERA, I'm actually really excited for Morris. So, I mean, any thoughts on Morris?
No, I mean a lot of the underlying stuff looks good, just not quite getting results haven't really showed up, but gotta figure it out.
Stretch too long is what he's at.
Yeah.
Do the Twins have the bullpen depth right now to not have him pitch 2 times through the order? The little bit I've seen him, Shelton's let him go, probably because he is the most talented arm in this bullpen right now. Andrew, keep going because the alternatives right now aren't much better. So I guess maybe ultimately his role is as maybe a closer or an 8th inning guy or something. Or are we just not in a place right now if you're the Twins where you can allow him to be in his best suited role?
Right. And we talked about this last week too on the bullpen episode. It's really difficult to judge Shelton on how he's managing anything because I made a similar joke last week. Do you want to play with fire or a grenade? Either way, it's not going to turn out well for you. So, we're just going to throw Andrew Morris out. What is noticeable about Morris, though, is the first inning 98, 97, 98, 99 even. The second inning 96, 95, 96. And then the third inning, which he's come in like twice, and then it's like 92, 93. Clearly, he's emptying the tank the first inning, and then Shelton is basically saying, "Well, can you do it again, bud? Because we need you." And then he just runs out of gas from those last couple of pitches. But I can't blame Shelton because you're going to turn the bullpen over to Garrett Acton or Anthony Bonda, who has looked awful, who's starting to show life, but again, he just doesn't have a good option. What is also pointed out too is Shelton's not just doing that with Morris. The starters are consistently going into the sixth and the seventh. The starters have actually been really good, but where they get in trouble is they get into the seventh, they get a guy on base, and then they got to bring someone in from the bullpen, and then that person just doesn't have the ability to get them out. Like, it's almost comically bad how inept this bullpen is, to the point where I don't watch a lot of football, but it's like the offense is good, or at least has had good results. We can argue if that's sustainable or not. The pitching or the defense has been good, but the special teams is just letting just running back touchdowns every kickoff, and it's like infuriating that the two, like 75% of the game or of the players are actually doing a good job. It's just the last 3 innings, it's just hopeless. But we'll see. We have John Klein. He's one of those prospects that might be able to do what Andrew Morris is doing. It doesn't take much to be a high-end reliever. If you have some velocity, a good secondary pitch, and have at least a general idea of where the ball is going, you can be a good or at least a decent reliever. We'll see. We'll switch up to a not so glowing report because I hate to say it, but I think Royce Lewis is cooked. He started off the year with 2 home runs, and that's essentially it. He's just gone downhill. His OPS right now is sitting at 631, which is lower than last year. He's just not making any contact, really, it seems like. And his defense is really shot down. He's below 50th percentile on running. I mean, just to give you an idea, he's approaching 1,200 plate appearances in the majors. His slash line for basically the first half of that, so 600 of those, was an 825 OPS, which was an 126 OPS plus. In the last 2 years, so 400 plate appearances, so just like basically 40% of what he has of what that first sample size was, his OPS has been 665 with an 82 OPS plus. It's just been night and day. Somebody just flipped the switch off, and he's not been able to turn it on. And then you look at what's changed. This is more this year, and keep in mind it's a small sample size, but like these are not good red flags. No red flag is good, I guess, but whatever. His whiff rate has gone up 6% this year. He's now 27% when the MLB average is 21. Now, it's not horrible. We're going to talk about another player here in a bit, Murakami, whose strikeout rate is much higher than that, but he's not doing damage on anything. His K rate went up 7%. He's now 24th percentile. For chasing pitches, he's 3% higher than the MLB average. Like, he's not doing the damage that he used to do 3 years ago. And I don't know if there is recovering from that for somebody who's 26. It sucks. He looked so good those first 3 years. And it's just, he had 2 ACL injuries back-to-back in back-to-back years. He had the COVID season that took away a year of development. He has constant, like, oblique, hamstring, core, like, muscle strains all the time. He just hasn't been able to get healthy. I typically hate it when people say this, but, like, if Royce Lewis is going to turn his career around, I just don't know if it's going to be in Minnesota anymore. And typically I think, well, that's pretty pathetic for a franchise. If they have a good talent, why can't they develop it? But it just seems like there has never been a smooth road for Lewis in this organization. And I'm not even necessarily blaming the Twins, even though you certainly can. He hasn't been healthy. It's not clicking. It doesn't seem like it's getting better, despite in spring training they talked about how the vibes were up. He really liked talking with Shelton and all of that, blah, blah, blah. His OPS has just been in plummet for the last 3 years. And that sucks.
I had a moment this week watching the Twins play the Blue Jays where I had noticed, my recollection and part of Royce Lewis is him like hitting third in the order and being like, oh, we got to pitch around that guy potentially. Like he's swinging it really well. And it just struck me watching them. He was hitting ninth in the game I watched, and he looked the part. Like just the night, just that simple like comparison to me spoke a lot in rings with kind of what you're saying, Eric.
He doesn't look competitive at the plate, and I just don't know if it's a confidence thing. He's definitely a vibes guy, but it just the skill set I don't think is there anymore.
Let me ask you this question, Eric. Do you think the Royce Lewis that existed for 58 games in 2023 was that just an aberration?
It's starting to look at. I was trying to look. Because I was trying to find, Minnesota's trying to find the why, but I was looking through a Savant page. His hard hit rate is pretty much the same the last 3 years. It really is just the whiff and the strikeout rate have gone pear-shaped. I'm going to assume it was an aberration because as soon as starting pitchers or major league pitchers made the adjustment to Royce, he hasn't been able to adjust back. So the talent's there, and if they want to go back to his rookie scouting report, I would encourage them to do so. That was real fun to watch in Minnesota, but I don't know. I don't think it's there anymore, and also his physical tools just aren't there anymore. I mean, I think I've talked about this on the show before. Lewis in the minors was not as fast as Byron Buxton, but almost as fast as Byron Buxton, who is still at a 90th, 99th percentile sprint speed. He was a completely different player. He was a contact-heavy player, and then the two ACLs, the injuries, all of that, he ended up just adjusting his play style to be basically a slugging third baseman. And after the two ACL injuries, I think his body just took 2 years to readjust to what his body makeup is now becoming because he put on muscle, all of that. It's just, I don't know. It just sucks is what had happened. It just seems like those two ACL injuries just derailed his career. A real promising career, which is sadly seems to be a big thing in Minnesota.
Yeah. Well, but I also think anyone who looks good in the majors, anyone who makes it to the majors can look good for 58 games.
Yes.
Go ahead.
And those 58 games were 2 years apart.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a clear 58 games.
Well, that was all in 2023.
Oh, sure.
He played 58 games. Sorry, Lee.
No, it's fine. I was just saying, this is just adding to your list of what if players. Just what if. And they could have been. Yeah.
And I know every team has what if prospects and just high miss or whatever, someone gets derailed, but it just seems, man, Minnesota gets the hard stick with these prospects, or at least getting a healthy prospect with runway, whether it's Buxton or Lewis. Alex Kirilloff had to retire. David Festa looks really good. He's on the IL. It's not clear if he's going to be able to make it back this year or ever. Going back to 2006, Francisco Liriano looked like a world beater and then had Tommy John. Joe Mauer, his first 10 games in the majors, he exploded his knee. Justin Morneau's career was derailed by a concussion. I could go on and on and on and on. And I'm sure everyone listening to this can think, oh, yeah, but Detroit has had, these prospects. Everyone has them. So maybe this is just sour grapes on my point, but it does seem like Minnesota just gets the injury-riddled prospects for whatever reason.
You know who I was thinking about the other day, Eric? I was thinking about Adalberto Mondesi with the Royals.
Oh, yeah. Very similar, yeah.
Very, very similar guys, those two.
Yeah, unfortunately. I liked him, too. I'd always, when I had that wasn't MLB The Show, it was MLB 2K. Mondesi was my shortstop more often than not because I really like young, toolsy players, and he was very young and toolsy when I was playing that game.
the one for Detroit is always going to be Joel Zumaya. That's the one that people are always going to bring up.
Yeah. I mean, he looked real good for 2 to 3 years. That throwing 100 back when 100 meant something.
Yeah. But
The easy
too bad
one-
Guitar Hero exists, I guess.
I think the easiest one in Cleveland would be Grady Sizemore, which is
On
now
your
on the
coaching staff right now, Eric. Grady Sizemore. That guy could be in the Hall of Fame right now.
Yep. He's very similar. I feel like him and Buxton are very similar players. Like, I think that's a very good comp. I think Buxton has like more elite speed, obviously, but just still very good players. Injury cut short, and then it is also kind of fun watching Grady Sizemore on like the first base. Like, he's the first base coach for the Twins now, and like it sounds like he's doing a really nice job with Austin Martin, and just seems like he's doing good. I'm gonna guess.
I think he'll be wonderful for Walker Jenkins'
Yes.
development.
I hope so. And even then, they have Manuel Rodriguez, they have Gabby Gonzalez. Like, they have a lot of their top young prospects are our corner outfielders or outfielders. But I also kind of suspect he might be managing his own team in the next like year or so anyway. Which Detroit, I guess, like, it's working out for Chicago with Venable, but I was really surprised that they didn't just keep him last year. So, all right, why don't we get off the Twins because I've babbled on enough. Let's go back to the Royals, Sam, if you're ready, and
I'm ready.
That.
All right, so I want to talk about two guys who I don't think I've talked too much about this year, who I think have been real positives for the Royals. Now, the first guy I'm going to go into is Daniel Lynch IV. And, you know, we've talked about the Royals bullpen and their struggles this year. And Daniel Lynch has been a real bright spot for the Royals coming out of the bullpen this season. And one of the things that I think when you look at him, he is a guy who came into major leagues as a starter, didn't really have a lot of success starting, was the Royals' fifth starter for a couple years here and there, and then eventually got moved to the bullpen. And he's really found a home in the bullpen with the Royals. And one of the things that you notice about him, other than having an IV at the end of his name, which that's always fun, is that he is 6'6" and he weighs 200 pounds. So he is just a really a long, lanky dude. And looking at this Savant page, that's a robust Savant page. That is a lot of red on that page.
Especially, there's a lot of red when his fastball velo is below league average.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that's one thing I was going to point out is that his fastball velocity is in the 42nd percentile. But his off-speed run value is in the 97th percentile. And so when you look at this, it's interesting, his pitch usage. So this year, his pitch usage, he's used his sinker 29% of the time, slider 28, changeup 19, and four-seam fastball 16% of the time. When you look at last season, it's almost completely shuffled around. Where last season he used his slider 29% of the time, his four-seam fastball 23% of the time, changeup 19, sinker 19, curveball 19. So he has gone from his sinker being his fourth most used pitch to his most used pitch, and his four-seam fastball being his second most used pitch to his fourth most used pitch. So I think he's made an adjustment. Yes, and we're comparing him to Tarek Skubal on the Savant page here. He's made an adjustment from last year to this year. He didn't have a bad year by any means last year. Lynch did. Lynch posted a 3.06 ERA in 67 innings pitched last season. He's made an adjustment where he's been using his sinker a lot more, He's been using his slider and his changeup more, and been relying a lot less on his four-seam fastball. And so he's been a real sort of reclamation project for the Royals in a way that I don't think he's the prototypical guy who couldn't figure it out as a starter, who went to the bullpen and found some success. So I'm happy that he's found this role and that he's been good with the Royals this year. Again, the Royals have needed someone to be good in the bullpen, and he's been that. So Daniel Lynch, the fourth, has been pretty good, and I'm hoping that, as things get shuffled around in the bullpen, he's going to be someone who is relied upon a lot as we go through the season. But when you just look at his year by year Savant pages, it's pretty wild. Look at 2021, that's pretty bad. 2022, pretty bad. 2023, we're getting there. 2024, he missed most of the season, and then 2025, not as good, and then this year he's been excellent. So, I'm happy to see that he's been doing well. Now, granted, he did give up a 2-run home run to Julio last night, but these things will happen from time to time.
To be
happens
fair,
to the best of us.
A lot of people give up 2-run home runs to Julio Rodriguez.
Yeah. Daniel Lynch, I think, has been really good, and like I said, not a fastball that's going to blow you away, but I think he's made some adjustments this year where he's been really, really good. So Daniel Lynch, I believe in you.
Has he been used in a lot of more high leverage positions, especially with Estevez out and Ursig kind of struggling a little bit?
He's been starting to be used in more of the high leverage situations. I think he's I would like to see him take over the John Schreiber role. Schreiber's been another guy who's just been bad this year. There's no two ways about it. But kind of that role where you come in with guys on base, 7th inning, 8th inning, fireman type of, spot. I would like to see him kind of take on that role for the Royals. But he's been getting more high leverage situations as the year has, proceeded. So
Daniel Lynch's OPS against lefties is 269 this year.
Dang.
That's his OPS against. His against righties, it's in the 500s. It's 534, which isn't obviously as good, but that'll play against. He can face righties, as you can see. Pretty much every highlight Eric has shown here has been him striking out a righty. But yeah. So
he's been a very valuable weapon for the Royals this year, and let's see more, Daniel.
I like these random videos on Savant, but the one that they just showed was why we have ABS in place.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, that was 3 inches and stuff. How do you do the random video? I've never seen that on Savant.
It's literally just says random video.
Oh, random video right there. Oh, that's cool. No, because I know you can click on the pitch movement profile thing and it'll show you that pitch, but I haven't seen them. That's cool. I gotta check that out more.
Also, sorry for the audio, Uncle Rob. Don't trade or don't copyright us.
Yeah. So anyway, Daniel Lynch the fourth. I also like how he's changed his number from 41 to 41 because IV 1-4. Maybe that's what he's going for. Maybe that's not what he's going for. I don't know, but that's certainly a fun thing there. But anyway, so yeah. Daniel Lynch, that's him. Let's talk about Jack Caglione. And Jack Caglione came up last year for the Royals. Didn't look too good in 232 plate appearances for the Royals. And I just want to go over real quick. We've got his Savant page up here. I want to go over just some traditional stats with Jack Caglione. So last year, this is again 232 times to the plate. Last season, Jack Caglione had 33 hits, and he had 18 walks. This season, in 102 plate appearances, Caglione already has 23 hits and 9 walks. So he's got 10 fewer hits and half the walks in less than half the plate appearances. So he's been looking a lot more comfortable at the plate. And for me, I think the biggest thing that gives me hope about Jack Caglione is we know that he's got the tools. We know that he's got the power. Because when you look at his Savant page, his bat speed is in the 94th percentile. His arm strength is in the 99th percentile. You know, we know that he's got the tools, and we know that he can hit home runs. It took him a while this season to hit his first home run. He was hitting a lot of doubles. He was hitting a lot of singles earlier in the year, and he looked really good at the plate. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing is he just looks so, and this is just a complete eye test thing for me. He looks so much more comfortable at the plate this season than he did last season. And he's getting hits, he's walking, he looks good at the plate. And so I am hoping that he can, just continue to put this all together. One thing I want to point out also with last year versus this year. Last season, his fielding run value was -7. His outs above average was also -7. This season, so far, he's got a +2 fielding run value and 1 out above average. So he's been playing well in right field. And we know that he's a former college pitcher. He's got the arm out there in right field. He's already had 2 outfield assists this season. So he just looks a lot more comfortable this year than he did last year. So I'm hoping that the sort of the way he's been hitting the ball to all fields, as you can see on this Savant page, the way that he's been, not swinging and missing a lot, not chasing a lot, I think he's gonna have a good season, and we're gonna see good things from Jack Caglione. So.
Eric, can you click on that one purple home run dot that's like dead center? Yeah, I want to see how far this ball goes, because
that ball, I can't remember. That ball went 437 feet.
Yeesh.
Hit it all the way back there. So he is, again, we know he's got, right down the middle. That'll do it. We know he's got the power potential. He had a 70 rated power tool in the minors. So he's a big guy too. He's 6'4", 250. I mean, it's seeing a guy that big playing the outfield is kind of that's unusual. He looks like I don't know what he looks like, a linebacker out there.
Right.
But he's been, like I said, he's looked a lot more comfortable and a lot more competent at the plate this year than he did last year.
And like we mentioned it when we were talking about the Detroit Royals series before, but he has an incredible arm in the outfield. Like there was in the, I don't remember what it was, like the second or third inning in that second game or whatever. Remember where it was like a long fly out and Tigers try and score, but absolute cannon to cut down McKinstry at home. And then another, that was a Jake Rogers sac fly. 10 feet out from the warning track, and he nearly got Javi. Like, that was insane. Like, he's got it. He's got a cannon of an arm. I think Sam was frozen.
Yep, fun to watch. Yeah, I think so. I still have a baby that is sleeping, and since Ty's right here, I did pick the White Sox player, so I don't want to test fate any farther. So unless anyone has really big objections, if we can talk about the White Sox, so
Do it.
so why don't we? The first one we talked about, he's kind of like the surprise number one starter for Chicago, Davis Martin. Don't ask me if I knew him before the start of the season because I didn't. Apparently, he's been in the White Sox for at least 4 or 5 years or so. The differences this year, and like you can see his Savant page, does not look great, but his results this year have been 1.8 WAR, 1.95 ERA, a FIP that actually kind of backs that up. His FIP right now is 2.87. So what is he doing with someone who has a fastball velo of below league average, and someone who's also like the players are actually have a higher average exit velo with him? Was really interesting when I started looking at him. He throws a lot of pitches, 6 of them. Now some of this could be Savant like miscategorizing some of them, but that does look like there are 6 actual different pitches. If you look at his picks mix, his most thrown pitches is fastball. He only throws it 25% of the time. That's exceptionally low for your most common pitch. His entire range goes down to his curveball, which is 11%. So realistically, he can go 6 pitches into an at bat without having to double a pitch. It's true. It's just a true like someone. He's not a thrower. He's a pitcher, and I think he might be starting to figure that out. When you look at the individual pitches itself, his sinker, slider, and curveball have been really good. Or in case of his sinker, it has been, oh, I'm sorry, of his slider. His slider has been legitimately great. He has a 111 expected batting average and an expected slug of 230. You should probably throw that pitch a little bit more, but also his curveball has an expected batting average of 213 and slugging 331, and his sinker, which is probably should be his number one fastball because we'll talk about his other pitch, his other fastballs here in a second, but those aren't as great. His sinker, expecting batting average 231, expected slug 332. You can go a ways if that's what your expected numbers look like. He does have some bad luck. I guess not really, but some bad luck with his 4-seam fastball with 344 batting average versus the 293 expected. But overall, it's clicking for him. I don't know if I would necessarily pick him to continue at this pace. Like, I don't think we can expect him to have a 195 ERA. If not, he will probably be in Cy Young contention. But yeah, it's just been really promising for him. He should probably get rid of his cutter, though, because it is just getting smashed. 737 slug, and the expected is not much better. So the problem there is I think he's throwing his cutter. It is his second most thrown pitch, and it looks like he started throwing it last year, and just they must believe in it. But maybe they shouldn't, because like I said, it's just getting smashed. So, kind of similar to I guess what Sam was saying with Daniel Lynch the fourth. I feel like I need to say that with my pinky out. But a lot of pitches, it's just clicking for him. If you can find the right mix and all of that. So, you always root for these guys, Daniel Lynch or Davis Martin, the late 20s, early 30s guys who have been around, but it hasn't clicked. So even just to have a stretch of a month where he's been legitimately a great pitcher, it's just fun to see.
Why isn't it Martin Davis?
Why is it Martin Davis? Do I keep
Why
saying
why isn't it Martin Davis? That was a comment that was made on the Royals broadcast a couple
boy.
weeks ago when they were facing off against Davis Martin.
I mean, it is unfair having two
Right.
first names. Like, because I almost said Austin Martin about 3 times, I think.
Hmm.
But yes, I do hate it. Lee, what were you saying?
I was just saying, I mean, nearly 2 WAR from a pitcher, 6 weeks in, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
He's been really good for them. I wonder if the cutter thing is like it looks really good in bullpens and stuff. So they tell him to try and use it, but like he's not using it correctly or something.
Well, I'm gonna guess. I'd have to look at the illustrator and bring that up. It's a new pitch, so it might have good like spin rate, vertical, horizontal break. All that might look great, but if you just leave it like right in the heart of the plate, like major league hitters will do what Jack Caglione did of what we just showed and just crush that. But so I mean, maybe if they really believe in it, keep throwing it. But the early results, it should not be his second most used pitch. But I guess it's all relative because every pitch is thrown a lot, or at least like consistently. You should expect to see it in an at bat.
Can I rain on the Davis Martin parade a little bit,
Yes.
or
Yes, you
are
can.
we happy with we want to root for him?
Oh no,
Uh,
like go ahead.
He's done a fantastic job of keeping the ball in the ballpark. His home run per nine is .49, less than half of a home run per nine, which is less than half of his career average. Is less than half than the major league average right now. And so, good on you, Davis Martin. But a big part of that is his fly ball rate his home runs per fly ball is 6%. And that's a metric that can be used to kind of measure like how lucky you are at like your fly balls not happening to fly out of the ballpark. League average on that percentage is 11, which is again he's at about half of the major league rate. Well, maybe he's just induced a lot of weak contact. Maybe this is here to stay. Maybe he's figured some things out. If that were the case, his xWOBA, which is based on quality of contact, wouldn't be 20 points higher than the league average right now. His is 335, league average is 316. I'm afraid Mr. Martin might be getting lucky and some fly balls are landing on the warning track right now, as opposed to over the fence. And as it gets warmer, maybe that starts changing. We'll see.
Yeah, that's all fair. I mean, the regression monster comes for all of us, or comes for every pitch. But yeah, it's unsustainable to have half a home run going into a season. But he is doing it right now. You could also argue his hard hit rate is much higher than it should be, 48% versus league average is 37. So, but he is doing it. I'd also say the same thing. We're not talking about him, but I really hated this signing when the White Sox signed it. But Eric Fetty somehow has a 3.24 ERA, and it looks like competent. I mean, who knows? But all right, let's go to the next guy because I think we can confidently say Murakami can
Yikes.
hit a fastball. It is proven. Man, he's been good. Major league leading 13 home runs, on pace for 66, if anyone cares. A lot. I mean, 27 walks in 141 plate appearances. He's as advertised. He's a 3 true outcomes machine. His expecting batting average on a fastball, and I bring this up because that was, will he be able to hit velocity coming into the season? Expecting batting average 282. His expected slug is 701. Stop throwing this man a fastball. It's probably he can hit it. Don't get me wrong. There are certainly red flags. We just talked about Royce Lewis, and his K rate and his whiff percentage are pretty terrible. Murakami is first percentile whiff rate. There is almost no one, probably no one, who swings and misses more than he does. His K rate is 32%, which is 5th percentile. Once you get to the 35 to 38 category, you're entering the Joey Gallo territory, which makes you almost unplayable. But he's not there yet. And when you're doing as much damage, and when he does hit it, barrel rate 99th percentile, hard hit percentage 100th percentile, average exit velo 99th, expected slug 97th, expected woba 96th. That'll play. Oh, and expected at a walk percentage 98th percentile,
That's insane.
and he doesn't chase.
Can you do me a favor? Can you scroll down to what he's being thrown and like?
Yes, because 51% fastball, which I suspect is going to start to change.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what is he only hitting? Like, what happens when he starts getting stuff outside of the zone that he cannot hit for a home run? You know?
Well, right now it looks like the slider, and again, these are individual pitches, so it looks like the slider he's really struggling with. Slider and sweeper, so like breaking ball. Whiff rate is 62% on a slider, which makes sense. Like, everyone sees a left hand. If you envision a left-handed pitcher or a hitter striking out, I bet you it's to a slider down and away. That's just the player type. Expected batting average of 158. Expected slug though is 415. Again, if he can get the club to the ball, it's gonna go somewhere. It's just there's just a big hole in that swing.
Can you? I forget where it is on this because I'm just curious on if you can see like how many home runs he's hit off each pitch and all that. There's a way. I know there's a way you can find it, but I always forget how to.
Yes,
Okay,
8 off of a fastball, so 13 home runs. 8 off a fastball, 3 off a breaking ball, 2 off of an off-speed pitch. I don't think it doesn't break it down. At least what I can see on the on Savant so far. I will also notice I don't think he has a double this year.
He does not have a double. That was another thing I was going to say. He has 27 hits, half of them are home runs, and has no other extra base hits besides that. I mean, again, I'm not going to knock a guy for hitting home runs instead of doubles, but it does raise the question: what happens when he stops getting fastballs? Is he not? Can he still hit the changeup and the curveball and the slider? But is he going to hit those for singles, not doubles, if he can't hit them for home?
Right.
I have a bold prediction.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Murakami at some point is gonna really cool off this season.
I don't think that's a bold prediction. I think
he's gonna have a stretch where he looks. He's gonna have a stretch where he doesn't look so good.
I think you're right. I think that's just he's gonna look unplayably bad, and then Barry Bonds, dare I say his name, Barry Murakami, if you will. It looks.
But no, like what happens when he stops getting middle fastballs?
Right.
Like that will be my question. Is okay, everyone figured out they can't throw 95 down the middle to him. Okay, but now they're throwing 98 up top, or slider far down and away, that kind of thing.
I do agree, but however, you make a living off of mistake pitches. You have to hit, especially with his player type, you have to hit the mistake pitch because you're not guaranteed to get much else. But he's at least doing it right now.
That's true. Yeah, he is hitting those pitches. You gotta give him that for that.
Yeah. But I mean, I think you're both. All of us are right. I think this is a enjoy it while you can moment. But right now he looks like a really good signing, or I won't say a superstar, but he looks like he could have a 10-year major league career. But we'll see. Maybe I shouldn't say 10-year because he's 26 years old now. I don't know if I want to touch him with a 100-foot pole after 30 years old, but who knows?
I thought it was interesting. My ears perked up when you guys mentioned that he hadn't hit a double yet. I remembered that last year, Colson Montgomery, he hit doubles, but he only hit 9 of them despite hitting 21 home runs.
That's
Turns out the White Sox are dead last in the league in doubles right now, by the way. Colson only has 5 compared to 9 homers. Chase Mydroff leads them with 7, which would be good for 35th, I think, in baseball with a bunch of other guys. I don't know. I don't know that there's necessarily anything to that. it's just kind of a weird anomaly or a weird happenstance with the White Sox that they hit the ball over the fence, but they don't hit the ball off the fence a lot to generate a lot of doubles. It's just it's
That is
interesting.
that is weird because it's not like it's not. I don't think they have a small ballpark. It's a very like
It's a
universal.
very
It's a
average
very
ballpark.
asymmetrical or symmetrical
Yeah.
ballpark, but like Kansas City has basically the same thing, and I feel like they hit more doubles, but maybe they just don't have time for two bases. They do a four or one, and that's it.
Yep.
I wonder if like opposing pitchers, their scouting reports haven't caught up to where the players have improved, and so they're still throwing stuff that they don't think they can get hit, and then they're getting smashed. So they haven't adjusted to the White Sox hitters adjustment? I don't know if that makes any sense.
I would believe that, especially like he's only been in the majors for a month. It'll be curious to see what May brings, or like once he starts seeing more off speed than fastball. Like once he starts seeing 33% fastballs on an at bat instead of 50, it'll be interesting to see like what he does with the limited fastballs. Because I mean, I don't think it would be surprising if it turns out he can't hit any off speed and he has to rely dependent solely on hitting a fastball. But I'd also noticed too his outs above average is positive for first base, which I know that was the other question mark with him too. So at least there's something, and he has 50th percentile sprint speed, which I don't know. Maybe I just pictured him as being like much bigger
Big,
than
slow
he is.
guy.
I guess like thicker is. I don't want to call him fat because like he's a professional athlete and like he certainly is like the dude's in shape. But I guess I just pictured more of a
Lumbering.
lumbering is the correct Jim Tomey esque like play style. Even
Well,
though Tomey is much
he
better.
does have
hitter.
2 caught stealing and 0 stolen bases. So
Yeah.
not that that's really worth much, but
Rate field is 22nd in park factor.
okay.
So, meaning it's 22nd most offensively inclined. It's in the bottom half of offenses.
Right.
Okay.
It suppresses offense,
Yeah.
which would make you think
to the
doubles
median.
would be more prevalent
Yeah.
because home runs are what
Because they're
obviously-
getting
But
to the wall.
So far, that was 2026 numbers.
I'm trying to think what ballparks they've played in. 'Cause they played in Sacramento, which is pretty home run heavy.
Yep.
They've played in
Milwaukee.
Kansas City, which isn't really.
Yeah, I don't know what the
Milwaukee
ballpark factor is in Kansas City anymore because they moved the fences in.
Yeah, not
17.
that much.
That'll have to be
17.
determined throughout the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something that adjusts over time. And also, I think for
Yeah.
part of the park factor for rate field is that it's kind of dependent on how well the home team performs. The Chicago White Sox have not been hitting a lot of home runs over the last 2 years.
But well, to be fair, the Chicago White Sox have not done much of anything other than lose the last 2 years either. So, as much as
Starting to
it be,
change.
as much as I begrudgingly like, my soul is happy when the White Sox are bad, but I am at least like kind of excited for their fan base because it's been about as pathetic of baseball as I think we will see in our lifetime. So, all right, that's enough about the White Sox. Why don't we talk about the second place Detroit Tigers?
It's not. I hope you feel proud of yourself because it's fun dunking on a team who has literally half of their roster on the injured list. Does that
Yes.
make you feel good?
Keep in mind, where's my team at? I'm punching up right now. So go ahead, Lee. Punch down. Be the bully. I dare you.
I will. All right. So first player I wanted to talk. I was thinking about complaining it some more, but I'm like, I've complained enough. Let's talk about some players who are doing well and helping out. I'm trying to find my tabs. There we go. So I can get my stats up. So first player I wanted to talk about is Framber Valdez. We signed him in the off season. He has been performing as expected, which has been really nice. Savant isn't, it's got a lot of blue on it, but that's kind of his style. He's been what we anticipated, right? So I want to just read out the game logs here for innings pitched. He has started in 7 games. He has thrown 6 innings, 6 innings, 5 innings, 7 innings, 6 innings, 4.1 innings, 6 innings. in a team that has a lot of starting pitching injury right now, he is being a starter that can get you 6 innings, which is desperately, desperately needed at the moment. Yeah, just he's got a 3.35 ERA on the season so far. Doesn't get a lot of strikeouts, gets a lot of soft contact. He's been so helpful for this rotation. It's very nice having him and Scooble back to back. I don't know, apparently that's going to change. But point is, we have 2 guys who can be like, yeah, they're going to give us 6 innings. So it's just been so nice to see. I've been looking at it. And I wanted to point out, if you go on scroll down on the StatCast and look at his the StatCast statistics, right here. I mean, all of these are staying really steady from last year. There's been no changes. Some of them have even improved a little bit. Yeah. I'm just glad we signed a pitcher who didn't immediately become dog shit and can give us some eat some innings for us. He's only really had one bad outing, and that was against the Twins, and he still went 6 innings in that game. So I'm really happy with the signing so far. I'm really happy with his performance, and glad we have him here because we desperately needed. Oh my God, Eric.
I'm sorry. What was that about that start? Who was that start against? Can't remember who.
It was against the 4th place Minnesota Twins.
It's almost. You said it was a number 5 last time. We're almost there. So
Very funny.
Go ahead, Lee.
Well, I'm not entertaining this bit. I don't know what this bit is, but I'm not entertaining it.
This is me spiraling and just wanting to hold. I can't do this joke next month because the next time the Tigers play the Twins, I suspect it will not go as a 4-game sweep for the Twins' direction.
We'll have to see how many starting pitchers the Tigers have left at that point.
I hope none. I hope AJ Hinch has to take them out next time they see them.
Well, hey, Scooble almost got injured his last outing. In the 7th inning, he threw a pitch and then he was reaching towards his elbow and the trainers came out, and then he struck out the side like a psychopath. So, but yeah, Framber, he's been a very good signing so far. I'm really glad we have him. Anything on him?
Anything clubhouse-wise about him so far? I feel like that was kind of the big concern with him coming into the season, given what happened last year.
No, there's been nothing about that. Maybe there has been stuff and it's just been kept really under wraps. There has been zero rumors or beat reporters saying anything about this or nothing. Nada. I almost forgot that there was a concern because it's just been absolutely nothing.
I find it very.
He's played.
Go ahead.
He's just played as advertised. Even you touched on it right away. You can't just look at a Savant page and just be like, oh, he's a mediocre to above average pitcher. His whole thing is soft contact, and he doesn't allow pulled balls in the air. He has continued to have weak contact.
He's been allowing a lot more pulled balls this year. I don't know why, but the results haven't really changed anything. I don't know what that's about, but
that is true.
But it hasn't led to a drastically changed ERA or increased WHIP. Really, it's all of his stats are very consistent with last season. So
pulled balls may have been more of a concern. All pitchers want to avoid that, especially using
You were cutting in and out a lot. I can't really hear what you were saying.
Sorry about that. I was just saying he doesn't have to pitch around kind of the short porch in left field that he used to anymore. So while the avoidance of pulled balls in the air matters in general, I think
so. Maybe he's changing the way he's. Maybe he's changing the way he's getting flyouts.
That's interesting.
Possibly.
Because now he can maybe pitch inside a little bit more. That's a good. I wonder if there's any truth to that. That wouldn't surprise me. That's interesting.
Yeah, but he's only given up 2 home runs on the season. Both of them were to right field or center right, and neither of them were at America. So, yeah, I'm not really. Yeah, he's been, like I said, he's been as advertised. The fact that we're like, we signed a pitcher and he wasn't immediately garbage is a victory for us. Because if you look at some of the other pitchers who we have signed over the years, yeah, sometimes it gets a little dicey. He walks a lot of guys, sometimes gets on base, but he gets double plays, he gets pop outs. It's great to watch. It's just good to have another reliable starting pitcher who could be like, yeah, this is the guy who's going to go out. He's going to give us 5 to 6 innings. Yeah, just good.
Yeah. All right.
All right, and then the second player I want to talk about, I went really back and forth. I'm like, I could talk about Kevin McGonigal, because I'm like, well, I'm gonna have 9 years to brag about Kevin McGonigal. So, I want to talk about someone I haven't really talked a lot about, Dylan Dingler, because look at that Savant page. That is a lot of red.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, he kind of slowed down in the last week and a half because he went 1-21 on a stretch here. But at one point, so his stats dropped. But at one point, he was leading catchers in WRC plus. He has 5 home runs in the season, which led the Tigers for a long time. He has just looked so much better at the plate, and not even I don't know.
Which is something, because he looked pretty good last year.
He looked pretty good last year, and I don't know what has changed, but he is hitting the ball a lot harder than he was last year. And he's not striking out as much. He's walking a little bit more, and he's still amazing behind the plate. He's still a top tier defensive catcher, and he's a very good offensive catcher. Yeah, I am obsessed with this guy. He's just been so good for us so far, and just giving us a lot of much needed power. Which,
Skubal is the best development story for Detroit in probably the last 25 years. But the way Dingler is going, and it's only 2 years in, and he certainly has some time to regress, and I'm sure he'll have a year or two where he's not that great. But so far, this is looking like they didn't just find an all-star caliber catcher. I think he's going to start making a case if he might be the best catcher in baseball if he keeps this up. And I don't even know how far away he is from that argument at this point.
Oh yeah, like I said, at one point he's kind of dropped. So he's right now he's 7th in WRC plus and 7th in WOBA, but he's number 1 in xWOBA. He's gotten a little bit unlucky lately. He's getting hard hit outs type thing. But he's got one of the lowest strikeout rates among qualified catchers. He's still one of the best defensive catchers. Right now he is 2nd behind Kyle Raleigh in defensive FWAR. He looks like he's going to be a top 5 catcher at minimum for this season. Maybe top 3. He's kind of, like I said, he kind of went on a little bit of a bad stretch for a week and a half, but he started hitting again.
I acknowledge that I thought England had the potential to be a regression candidate this year, off of the fact that his BABIP last year was 345. League average is 290 dating back to last year. This year, his BABIP is 260, which, again, another kind of former fashion to suggest that he's actually been getting unlucky to this point. His 247 average should probably be higher. It is 28 games that he's played in. They're not the biggest of samples, but so far he's sustained that last year was for real. And if anything, he's looked improved at the plate with the walk rate and the strikeout rate. So looks good.
Yeah, the thing is, AJ keeps starting Jake Rogers. And okay, I get it. He's a catcher. He needs days off. He does not need every 4th day off. I want him in the lineup 5 out of 6 days.
Does he DH at all?
He DHs a couple times, right. But it's not a every time thing. But he's DH'd in the past. I think,
and also Lee, I do get wanting to see him too. you're gonna want him as fresh as possible in August and September too. So
I know.
especially catcher because they do have like it. You can track it easier with a catcher, or you can track it with all the positions. But a catcher's OPS or offensive productivity goes down like significantly, like from day 3 to 4 to 5, like consecutive played days, and especially like the whole day, day after a night game is a cliche or a thing for a reason. So like I do understand wanting to see him more as long as he's DHing, that's great. But I do think this is I don't think you can argue with the results. And if it means he
No.
has 50
Yeah.
less or 100 less plate appearances, that kind of sucks. But you're getting elite offensive productivity in a defensive minded position, which is providing so much value, excess value.
I just checked. He has started as a DH in 1 game and come in to pinch hit in 2 games this season. He started a catcher as in 23 games and then pinched hit and replaced Jake in 1 game. But yeah, I mean that's why I know because like I said, he's going a bit of a cold stretch, but he got a pinch hit double, a double or something yesterday, and he's getting his hits back again. Yeah, I really like him. He looks really good. All of his, look at his Statcast and it looks nice. Yeah, I mean, if he wasn't a 27-year-old catcher who had like 4 more years of team control, I'd say extend him. Like maybe just buy out his. I would love to see the Tigers buy out his arbitration years or something. Like that would be great. But
That was
he's
also
27 as a catcher.
I was actually going to ask that as he an extension candidate, but also like catchers are so tough to project.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be like 32, 31 when he hits free agency. So maybe not extend him. Like maybe just buy out his arbitration. I'd
Right.
love to see that.
I think any extension would be team heavy.
If you were Dylan Dingler, why would you do that? Why would you give up the money so that you can be a free agent at 33 as a catcher? I don't see that from his perspective on why he'd be interested, unless he really loved, like,
I think
if he
that's-
loved the organization and was about wanting to win there, then that's a whole other thing. But just from a monetary standpoint, that's the problem with these college guys a lot of the time, trying to extend them.
No, yeah, and that makes sense. That's why there hasn't really been a lot of buzz around it because, yeah, he's got like 5 more years of team control and he's 27. So I get it. I'm not going to be standing on with my sign yelling from a megaphone about it. It's just if it was like any other like age and situation, I'd be like extend him now. But I'm just glad we got him for the next 4 or 5 years, and he looks good. He's like, on pace for another Gold Glove type of guy. He's going to be good. He's going to be good for the next few years for us. And I'm really glad that he's continuing on from last year because that was really nice to see. It comes unexpectedly.
Okay. What's that quick little on production error? Sam, do you need to jump right now? Should we go into predictions and then go back to Cleveland?
I should be good for like another 15 minutes or so.
Okay. Dan, how excited are you to talk about your players? 15 minutes worth or 20 minutes worth?
Eric, Sam, send Eric your predictions just in case.
Okay, I will do that.
Just to have a backup. I don't know how long this will take. Let's go from one catcher that's doing really well to a catcher that isn't doing so well. Let's do that. Coming into this year, we had, as a show, we had talked a couple times before the season started about potentially doing a bold predictions segment that never really came to fruition. But one of the bold predictions that I was planning to make was I thought Bo Naylor was going to take a step forward offensively this year. It probably would have been something along the lines of like Bo Naylor's going to hit 25 home runs and have an OPS plus over 100, something to that effect. He had an 872 OPS last September, and that was with in mind that he had changed his timing mechanism at the plate when he was hitting. He was doing something different with his feet. I believe they referred to it as a toe tap, but it really wasn't. The point is, there was a mechanical change he had made, and it seemed like mechanical change equaled better production. Additionally, this spring, he had an 880 OPS in spring training. I wouldn't usually get excited over that kind of thing, but coupled with September, I'm like, okay, there's something going on here. He had a 941 OPS in the WBC. He had a home run off of Gabe Spear, who was a really good left-handed specialist. And it sure felt like, okay, Bo Naylor's going to take a step forward. Bo Naylor's OPS this season is 355. That's his OPS, not his on base, not even his slug. His OPS is 355. His OPS plus, as of yesterday, and if the stats don't match what's on the screen, all my stats are from yesterday. My apologies on that. But his OPS plus was 0. 0.
Well, it's 12 today, so it's improved infinitely, but
He went 2 for 5 yesterday with an RBI double. So this is poor timing on my part. He actually had a nice game yesterday. But it has not been pretty. The StatCast profile isn't great, but for a guy with those kind of numbers, you'd expect it, honestly, I'd expect it to be slightly worse. I'd expect even more blue. It's not good, but it's not. I'd expect it to be more blue.
The
This
thing that
seems to fit.
surprises me is that his chase rate is low and his whiff rate is low, but he's not walking and he's striking out a lot. That's what confuses me. That doesn't make sense.
He isn't chasing, but he is making contact. But the contact he is making isn't with any authority. He has 19 hard hits this year. That would be 230th out of 269 qualified players. On those hard hits, my understanding of the terminology of a hard hit ball is all that means is the ball was hit with an exit velo of 95 miles per hour or more. And in turn, what that means is it's a 50-50 chance that ball is going to be a base hit. That's my understanding of why that, one, what a hard hit ball is, and two, why it matters. You give yourself a better chance, a 50-50 chance, just off the fact you hit the ball that hard of it being a hit. His batting average on hard hits is 316. So he's not getting a 50-50 chance on his hard hit balls. He's 6 for 19 on them. It's worse. And I don't
6 for
think
19 isn't really a large enough sample to.
I agree.
That's kind of coin flip.
But that's what we have to look at for the 30 or so games that he's played so far. And quite frankly, I could say the same thing about his OPS or any of these other numbers, but it has not been pretty to this point. And I don't think he's as bad as he's been in this first month of the season, but he also hasn't established himself as the hitter that he was kind of expected to become when he was initially called up back in 2022, late in the year. This team thought highly enough to put him on the playoff roster when he had played like 5 games in the majors in 2022. They thought highly enough of him as a catcher and as a hitter at the plate to do that as an extra bat. Some of that's to say what the offense looked like that year, but some of that's to say that they trusted in him. But at this point, he's a career 199 hitter. Under 200 for his career. And
one thing real quick that really surprises me about Bo Naylor is I've always thought of him as like a pretty light hitting catcher who's just kind of, a guy who's there to be behind the plate. I did not realize until now that he was a first-round pick.
Yes, sir.
And
yes, he was.
You do not become a first-round pick because you're just a good defensive catcher who can fill a spot. Like that is surprising to me that he was drafted in the first round.
Well, he was a really well thought of prospect, Sam. And something that I wrote about a couple years ago was how, like, this is the guy the Guardians are aiming to have not fail. With the fact that they hired, I know there's a lot of catchers that become managers, but really well thought of catcher Stephen Vogt in the dugout. Austin Hedges there to mentor him as a really well thought of catcher. Sandy Alomar on the staff, another really well thought of catcher in the organization. Like, they've made the support system to make Bo Naylor the best player he can possibly be. It feels like they've kind of really tried to emphasize that. And defensively, he's actually better than I think most people thought he'd be. He's a very good framer. He manages the pitching staff quite well. His catcher's ERA this year is 3.99. Solid. Not amazing, but solid. He doesn't block as well as I think a lot of people would hope. I think Sam last week week you made a comment about wild pitches and Cade Smith. I'm pretty sure most of those happened with Bo behind the plate, if not all of them. It hasn't all come together. And we talked earlier about Cooper Ingle. For whatever reason, I feel like this organization believes in Bo Naylor. And whether it's just because he handles the staff well or they like his framing or whatever the case may be, even with the offense not coming to fruition the way they hope, something just tells me they're not going to give up on him and they're not going to non-tender him this winter and try Ingle or something to that effect. I think this is going to be Bo Naylor's spot moving forward. And man, the first month of the season offensively has been a disappointment.
So I had asked kind of you about this, when we did our previews about, we were expecting Bo Naylor to like pick it up offensively, but if he doesn't, is that okay? And I think the answer is kind of, we don't need him to be an offensive, a major player, because we need him for the defense. Austin Hedges has a career 186 batting average. Bo Naylor is currently hitting 137. Are you going to keep two catchers who are that bad offensively on the roster?
I think that comes down to philosophically as an organization, are you willing to put up with that lousy of offense at the catcher's position? Because other things, those catchers do make you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And I say that with a little bit of sarcasm, but also maybe that's okay. I will say I'm more comfortable with it this year because of contributions they're getting other places offensively. But I'm not going to sit here and act like it's ideal. You're willing to put up with Hedges playing that poorly at the plate because he's not Bo Naylor good defensively. He's elite. Like he's arguably the best catcher in the sport. And you don't have to play him every day. You play him once, twice a week, maybe 3 times if he's hitting a little bit better like he has so far this year. But you don't have to depend upon him in the same way. You need Bo to give you more than this. And it doesn't have to be amazing. It doesn't even have to be the OPS plus of 100 I was talking about, but it's got to be more than this.
Yeah.
Than 12.
Than 12, yes.
And then kind of similar question. Cooper Ingle is currently hitting 394 in AAA with a 14-18 OPS. Now, it's only in 15 games, but let's say he's still batting over 300 with a 9 or 10 OPS in June. At what point do you say, okay, Bo, you need to take a reset in the minors and bring up Cooper?
I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know the answer to that question. I could tell you that from my perspective, that rings true, and that's logical, and that's probably what they should do. It's in the back of my head that they really like Bo behind the plate, and I don't know how that kind of changes decision making. And that is a place where I usually trust in this organization and think very highly of them. That has the potential to be a situation where I'm not happy with that.
So I guess let's talk about the other catcher then, because to me, if Bo's gonna hit 199, 199 can be a backup catcher all day long if you manage the staff. I know there's good feelings with Austin Hedges for the last decade, but at some point there's gonna have to be a point where maybe Bo switches into the Hedges role and then Ingle, you could do that swap, and to me that's what I would almost do.
I don't see them punting on Hedges. Right. And the other weird thing here is David Fry hasn't caught a lot.
Yeah.
And part of David Fry's characteristics that you like is that fact that he can catch. And part of that is they haven't faced a ton of lefties. Part of that is that I highlighted Bo's catcher ERA. David Fry's catcher ERA is 7. It isn't good. And that's an incredibly small sample because he hasn't played a lot, though. That is another lever they could pull, though. They could play David Fry more at catcher moving forward. That is something they could do.
Yeah, it's just you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You really want both of them on the roster for reasons besides the offense. But if he's hitting 130, that's unplayably bad. You do not want to have that guy in the lineup every 4 games. But you can't put the other guy in because he's also going to hit 200.
you got 2 backup catchers on the roster potentially is what you're looking
Yeah.
at, and you can't afford to have 2 backup catchers.
So you just gotta,
But you kind of like both of them,
you
so
gotta,
I don't know.
But
right, I guess
which one do you think they would cut? Which one do you think they would cut first?
Cut. Um, I don't think they'd cut either. I think they'd send Bo down, like Lee was saying. I think that would probably
So
be the move. But I
cuts bad phrasing.
I still don't know that they do that.
Right. I was about to say, like, what's going to have to, like, again, like, Cooper Engel, he's AAA catcher. I'm not saying he's, like, the world saver, but, like, let's just pretend the offense starts going down and they need to get some juice. It's really hard to have a guy in AAA with a 13 OPS and not calling him up. Now, they could put him at first if Reese Hoskins is struggling and things like that. There's other spots for him, but I do think you're going to look at your 2 catchers hitting below the Mendoza line and think that's probably could use that's the easy improvement, but I don't know.
I would just try Frymore behind the plate first. That's
Sure.
the first thing I would try. You need to change nothing on the roster. I would do that. But I also think pretty highly of Fry compared to the average.
do either of those catchers, can they play first at all? Would you want that at all, or do you want Manfrotto? Or
Neither of them have done that to this point in their careers in the majors. Bo played a tiny bit of third in the minors, I believe, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
I was just.
But that was not very much.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something more positive, if that's okay.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's talk about Daniel Schneemann. Daniel Schneemann has played 10 games in center field, 8 games at third base, 7 games at second base, and 1 game at shortstop. As of when I took these stats last night, he was 12th among all players in fielding runs in the entire major leagues. There was only one guy above him that had played more than one position, and that was Colson Montgomery, who's played a little bit of third base along with shortstop this year. Nobody above him had played 4 positions. And there was only one other guy in the top 25 that had played 4 positions. He is positive in outs above average at all of them positions except shortstop, and that's because he played 1 game there. I knew Daniel Schneemann could play a bunch of positions and do it at a decent rate. This is past a decent rate. This is incredibly impressive what he's doing, where he's played 4 different spots and played them at a high level. Just as impressive, again, as of when I took these stats last night, his slash line, 321, 391, 564. WRC plus 166. So he's playing defense at an elite level at 4 different spots, and he's also knocking the cover off the ball. He's done this offensively. If you look at the StatCast, the Savant page, he's launching the ball at an optimally elite level, 99th percentile on his sweet spot, launch angle sweet spot. I like looking at pace stats, but I like doing it at 150 games just to kind of give you an idea of like what a regular season would look like. Daniel Schneemann's on a 40 double, 23 home run pace for 150 games this year. So he'd be a 40 double guy, 20 homer guy. Additionally, he's played surprisingly a lot against left-handed pitching. And his OPS against lefties this year, 1.101. So, I mean, in every shape, form, or fashion, he's looked like a guy who could play every day at 4 different spots. I will say that it was reported that he spent the offseason adding some muscle. Nothing crazy, like 8 to 10 pounds, I guess, of muscle. And did so in an effort to just get through August and September and July a little bit better. Because last year, he got off to not this kind of start offensively, but had like an OPS plus of 110 in May. And his OPS after June 4th last year was 568. So I am very excited and enthused about how this has started. There is a bit of a test case there to suggest that maybe he's a hot starter and maybe it'll taper off. But it seems like maybe he's done some things with his body to try to counteract that. And hopefully this is something that's here to stay. I will say the expected numbers aren't quite as good as the real numbers, but they are like 80th percentile when you look at his xWOBA, x batting average, etc. It's not bad. It's not like he's completely fool's gold. So as I say all this, I don't think he's going to be this good forever. I don't think he's going to OPS plus 160 or whatever. But is it outrageous to think that like a high level outcome that's realistic for Daniel Sheeman is that he's like a Ben Zobrist for this generation? We're like 110, 120 OPS plus, play 4 positions, play them very well, maybe make an all-star team. Like, to me, again, high end of the spectrum,
Right.
but realistic, not obvious. I feel a lot better about that now than I did a month ago.
Well,
Last year. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what, I got to head out, but I'm glad to hear that finally we have a positive result from a he's in the best shape of his life headline in spring training, because that's always the kiss of death.
Yeah, it
Thanks.
finally happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to head out. I'll see you guys later.
All right. See ya.
See you, Sam.
Eric, could you scroll back up to the savant with the hit? Yeah. So looking at this and looking at his profile and what you're saying is multiple positions, and so this immediately reminded me of another player, and I hope you take this as a good. I mean, I look at the
Are you going to say Baez?
No, I'm not. It's a better one, I promise.
Okay.
No, well, I look at the thing that stood out to me was that launch angle sweet spot, because we had a player, 33rd. There's amazing similarities. 33rd round pick, bats left, who has good stats against left-handed pitchers, plays literally everywhere, and that last year, age 30 season, had an all-star season, and I'm talking about Zach McKinstry, because I'm just looking at his. The similar kind of profile. If you look at his 2025, I mean, he was an all-star last year. He had really nice stats. He was kind of out of nowhere, was playing very well, had a high batting average. This year, because he's injured currently, but I'm looking at last year. Yeah, his power suddenly went up. He was making a lot more contact. He was playing every day. He was playing every position, and that's a great guy to have on the field every single day. And he can, he hits lefties, and like you were saying about Schneemann, he's playing against lefties as well. And I mean, yeah, and he had an all-star year last year, and I think Schneemann could be a similar type of guy, where he's just, age 29, he has, whether or not it's just a year where he's going to have this, or like maybe this is going to be who he is for the next few years or whatever, but he now has you got a flashpoint of where he is performing really well. And that is going to be really helpful for this year. I feel that made sense.
I like that comparison a lot. It's a very astute observation. Even like you said, the StatCast launch angle sweet spot thing is spot on. I just hope he can sustain it at this point. It's been a great start, and man, it would be another added guy who could play a bunch of positions and add a little bit more depth to that batting work every day.
Oh yeah, because I mean, like you've been saying about, if you're not sure how well Bazzana is going to be playing at second, or you have Arias out for the next couple of months, and you still have issues with your outfield, if you can fill in at short or second or the outfield, I think that's going to be incredibly helpful.
Just with all the moving pieces they have, you're right. They still haven't entirely solved the center field problem. Schneemann can play center. Kwan's been okay out there. He's been fine. He actually made a nice play last night later in the game. But, there is enough places where he could just fill in the gaps because we don't have an established starter every day that he could be incredibly valuable.
Yeah. I was going to ask, wasn't George Valero sent down, right? Was there ever a corresponding move for that announced?
Yes. Speedy Petey Halpin was brought up yesterday. And he was hitting quite well at AAA. I don't know that he's necessarily a guy that's going to hit in the middle of your order and drive in a bunch of runs and play every day or anything like that. But he could play center field, play defense. Valera just wasn't getting enough at-bats, I feel like. And the defense was kind of rough. over the last week or so, and I just think they wanted to get him more
Playing time.
consistent reps. Yeah,
That makes sense.
because guys like Schneemann and Angel Martinez are playing so well right now.
Is it bad? Like, I do have a soft spot for Petey Halpin. I have no reason, but now that I know his nickname is Speedy Petey, he's like top
It's
10
not,
favorite
as
player
far as I
right
know,
now.
it's not. I just made that's my nickname for him. I don't
Well,
know
if it's
anybody
not,
else
then
calls
it should be.
Yeah, he is fast, so
Yes.
it fits. But I'm the only person I know of that calls him that. But we're going to start it here on the Central Rundown.
We're gonna make it happen. I mean, what's also like, this is just, I have a soft spot for like a Daniel Sheeman type player, this utility guy who doesn't have like elite tools but figures it out. I think probably everyone does. Everyone kind of cheers for those guys, but yeah, Daniel
He's
Sneeman
a
or like,
he's a
yeah,
really good story. He wasn't on the 40 man 2 years ago, and he was just knocking the cover off the ball in 2024 at AAA, and basically forced the Oregon. Again, offense wasn't very good that year. They're like, well, let's put Schneeman on the 40 man and see how like he's made every move he needs to earn the spot. And he played okay the last 2 years, but it's really kind of hopefully coming together this year. I like the fact that low level round, draft pick, not a great prospect pedigree, but the results dictated that like he got this opportunity.
That's what really annoys me, that they cut the draft as like what 20 rounds now instead of like 35 that was before. Like, okay, I get it, because there's a lot of like at the end, like, the Tigers are drafting Patrick Mahomes in the 34th round or whatever. But then you don't get guys like Daniel Schneemann and Zach McKinstry who are 33rd round picks, and that we don't get those stories quite as much anymore.
I agree entirely.
I mean, I remember back when it was 50. That was only like
Not that long
15
ago.
years ago.
All right. We're done with players. We want to move on to talking about the schedule and doing some predictions now.
I want to.
Alrighty. I think, Eric, are you going to pull up the schedule? I think. All right. Or I can.
Yes, it's coming.
Oh, okay, sorry. All right, so Guardians are finishing up against the A's, and then they got the 4-game series against the Royals, and then they could get to go and beat up on their favorite victims, the Minnesota Twins. Got a couple bobblehead nights there. Kyle Manzardo. What is it? Kyle Manzardo.
Manzalorian bobblehead is coming.
Oh my god!
Yes, sir.
I hate it.
It's amazing.
All right, the Tigers are gonna suffer because they got finishing up against the Rangers, and then we get the Red Sox, and then we get 3-game series against the Royals at Kansas City. So that will be interesting. But the rest of the month looks nice because we get to play the Mets, we get to play the Angels, we get to play the White Sox. We just needed Fred Water while half the roster is injured. So hopeful for that. Then the third place White Sox finishing up with the Padres, then they get to play the Angels again, then they have the Mariners next weekend. The Minnesota Twins are finishing up again with the Blue Jays series today and tomorrow. Then they get, because they had a couple Mondays off in a row there. They get the Nationals, and then they get to be bullied by the Guardians.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's true. I can't wait for another walk-off in Cleveland. It's always fun.
How many one-run games are going to be out of those 3? Yeah. And then the Kansas City, all of them.
Well, all of them will walk off in the 9th because that's what Cleveland does, but especially with the Twins' current bullpen, they cannot hold the lead. So, we'll see.
Well, the Twins have the Twins and Guardians played this season yet?
No.
Okay, because I'll be interested to see, just because the Twins do have a better offense than the Guardians, at least right now. So it'll be interesting to see how those games go. The Royals have the Mariners still, the 4 games, a lot of AL Central. The 4-game series against the Guardians, then the Tigers, and then later after that, they got the White Sox as well. So predictions, we got 3 series to do predicting. We got our fill-in from since Ty is not here, he already gave us those, and then Sam had also he put it in the chat, right? Yeah. So, we'll just do it after this. So, first series is Guardians at Kansas City. I think that's the 4-game series, right? Sorry, I forgot to take note. Yeah, that is the 4-game series. I think ultimately it's going to be a split. I think Royals are on their way up a little bit. Guardians have kind of been going back and forth a little bit. It's going to be very low scoring games, but because it is a 4-game series, I'm going to say it's a split. Well, what do you think, Dan?
Kansas City's starting pitchers have an expected ERA of 5.05 so far this year. The Guardians are currently in Sacramento. I think their offense is going to get healthy in Sacramento this weekend and carry over those good vibes and beat up on what has really been an underachieving pitching staff for Kansas City so far. I got the Guardians winning 3 of 4.
Sorry, what did you say, Dan? It was Cleveland, you said?
Guardians, yeah.
Just gonna do this. Okay. I'm gonna stick with the Guardians. Kansas City, until proven otherwise, their bullpen is just bleeding runners onto first base, and that is like going so hard into what Cleveland does best: get on base, be scrappy, and take advantage.
That's fair. I think it's going to be very low scoring. I think the Royals are figuring it out a bit lately. Sam said the Royals for both of these series as well. And Ty had said a split for the Guardians Kansas City series. All right, and then we get Twins at Guardians. Is anyone going to say the Twins? Eric, do you want to vote for your Twins here?
I would love to, but history and this current year will prove me wrong if I do that. So yes, I'm going Guardians.
Right. Dan, you have your hand raised.
Twins have a better run differential than the Guardians right now, believe it or not. I'm extrapolating here. They haven't posted who the probable starters are for this series, but assuming I did this right, which it's possible I didn't. Joe Ryan, 2.94 career ERA against the Guardians. Taj Bradley, 1.65 career ERA against the Guardians. Bailey Ober, 3.15 career ERA against the Guardians. All really good. One of these games might be a shutout. I'm going to pick the Twins. Eric, get the belts back out.
I hope so. I'm encouraged by that, but yeah, I mean they are the only other team with a positive run differential, but we'll see. They're playing the Blue Jays today and tomorrow, so we'll see if that holds. Lee, I'm going to guess you're the Guardians.
I'm going with the Guardians. Yeah. I don't believe in the Twins. They have not played well. I know they're scoring runs more, but Guardians just have too good pitching, I think. I know the bullpens are questionable in Cleveland, but it's even more questionable in Minnesota. So I just don't trust the Twins to be able to take 2 out of 3 here.
To me, how the Twins win this series is what they did to like Skubal, Crochet, and Framber. You pounce on them the first 2 innings, you get like a 5 or 6 run lead, and then hopefully that carries you through the 9th. But I don't know, it's tough to see.
All right, and then we got Detroit at Kansas City. I'm gonna go last on this one because I really don't know. I want to hear what you guys are thinking. It's both Sam and Ty picked the Royals for this one because the Tigers are incredibly injured.
Despite all the turmoil that the starting rotation has had, Detroit's 5th in expected ERA for starters right now. I'm picking the Tigers.
For the record, their expected pitchers are most likely Keter Montero, bullpen, and Tarek Skubal. So
there's at least one win in there. Just got to find another one.
That's fair. Eric, what do you got?
I think it's the Tigers. I don't have faith in Kansas City's bullpen pulling it around.
I think I'm going to go with the Tigers as well. I am skeptical of how the starting pitching will hold up, but over the last 3 years, the Tigers have won like 2/3 of the matchups against Kansas City. I think the way I've viewed it for the past couple of years has been that the Tigers are always just a little bit better than the Royals, and they always find that way to win over the Royals. And I think that's going to continue, even though Royals are at home. The Tigers have a lot better offense than Kansas City does, and they're going to be able to get to the bullpens. They're going to be able to get to starting pitching a little bit, potentially. I think Tigers are going to take 2 out of 3. But yeah. Anything to add for anyone?
Hope you guys enjoyed this Saturday edition of the AL Central Rundown. This may be happening. Some life stuff happened to take it behind the curtain a little bit. Where we may be doing not every Saturday, but their Saturday recordings may happen a little bit more often than they had in the past. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. That's all.
And with that,